Hey guys, how's it going? Daniel here. Today we're going to be doing a what's on my iPad video. Now I've actually never done one of these. However, I thought I'd make one because iPadOS is right around the corner. A lot of people might be getting new tablets and stuff, so I thought I'd make like what's on my iPad 11-inch here running iPadOS, and just show you guys what I use, what I have, and why I have this tablet and the reasons I got it. So mainly you can see down here at the bottom, these are just my kind of go-to apps right now. We got Procreate, Affinity Designer, and Affinity Photo, and those are just really great design apps. Namely Procreate, that one's just the one that I highly recommend. If there's one app to get an iPad for, it's Procreate. If you're even the slightest interested in drawing, design, it's just a nice relaxing thing and hobby to have, designing and stuff. So for example, this is one that I made last night, and there's a bunch of really cool features. You got layers and clip-in masks and things like that that make this super easy to make. If it wasn't for this app, I really wouldn't be able to make these things in like Photoshop and stuff, just because this allows those things, or those kind of like little changes and details and things, to be easier to learn than on Photoshop. That is just a little bit more complex. You can do more complex things on Photoshop, but it is harder to learn. It takes more time. But one of the cool things here is that you can do a time-lapse replay, so you can go ahead and scrub through what you wanted to do and like share this on social media and stuff like that. And you'll see a bunch of people on Instagram using this app nowadays because it is really awesome. And this app itself is like worth the entry of just buying a whole new iPad for it. Now, of course, this app works on older iPads and stuff like that. It even has GIF support. So if you want to make some GIFs and stuff, you can by making different layers that are slightly different. And that's really cool. All you do is just go to share, and you can export a GIF and choose the frames per second, which is really neat. So there's when I say a bunch, I mean a bunch of things you can do with this app, and it's really cool. You can see I've made some wallpapers on here and stuff for this. The wallpaper I have right now, I made this one in Affinity Designer, which is a vector-based app, which is different to Procreate, and you can see that there. I like this app, however, I don't love it because it's an app that's available on Windows and Mac OS. It's a paid app, but you can tell that it is designed more for desktops than it is for a tablet. And recently I've been using Vectornator, which is another vector-based app, but this one allows me to rotate things. It's designed more in the style of Procreate, designed more just for iPad, because it is right now just for iPad. So I feel like this might be a better app to get, especially since it's free. So if you're looking into these things, highly recommend checking out Vectornator. And if anything, the Affinity suite is also really good. You got Affinity Photo, which is Photoshop. Affinity Designer is Illustrator from Adobe. They're just basically really similar. Now let's move on to some games to talk about that. So we have a few games. This is a 64 gigabyte model, so I'm not going to be loading this up with games that take a bunch of space. All these don't take up very much space at all. We got Kings of Pool, really fun little billiards pool table kind of game that I end up playing with the Apple Pencil. Uno, all these games pretty much I use the Apple Pencil to like move things around, and it's fun like that, except for maybe Vainglory and Lineage 2 here. Now some of these aren't very great games. I'm not like getting the best games on the App Store here. These are just kind of like guilty pleasures, like Clash Royale. Super Sharp is an interesting little puzzler game where you can use your Apple Pencil, cut things, and solve puzzles, and I only got it because the Apple Pencil. We got Clash Royale. All these are semi-popular. Exploding Kittens is a fun little card game that isn't the best in the world, but it's nice little fun, and as well as Uno, of course. We got Brawl Stars, Duolingo, which I basically treat like a game. Sky recently came out in the App Store, and that one's definitely worth checking out. It's a beautiful game that looks like Journey from a couple years back, and it plays really nicely on iPad and iPhone, and it just looks stunning. So I highly recommend checking that one out, and it's free as well, and you can see it here, how quickly it loaded up, and I just love the design of everything here. It just looks like it was all like handmade. It just looks really nice. If you play through it, it's really nice and calming. Definitely not an action game, just a relaxing, fun game. We have Rec Room, which is coming out soon. It's still in beta, but it works really well. And if you like Rec Room on the Quest and on PC, then you're gonna like playing it on here as well. The controls aren't the best for like playing laser tag and stuff like that. However, it works well enough if you want to log in and do some stuff on there. Vainglory, Hearthstone, all those very basic, really fun, but nothing crazy in the game aspect here. Now moving on, let's go ahead and talk about the entertainment and things that I used to learn. So we got Disney Movies Anywhere. This is a great app if you have iTunes and Google Play videos, as well as Amazon places that you've bought things. It'll connect all those different accounts, and then all your movies are in one place. So that's the only app I have to go to. If I want those movies, I don't have to go to any other app, which is really awesome, and it's free from Disney, which is great. We also got Netflix, Hulu, Prime Video, trailers. Libby is awesome. If you have a public library card from nearby, you can go ahead and put that library card inside of here, and then you can rent books or audiobooks as well. So you're basically getting free books and audiobooks. And as long as you use them by a certain amount of time, then it'll return it. But if you don't finish it by then, you can extend it or re-rent it again. And it's really awesome. Instead of buying books, just get this app, and really great little app to have. We got Kindle, Fandango, HBO Now, Udemy, edX, Skillshare, Coursera, and Udacity here for learning. Now, today's video is brought to you by Skillshare, and funny enough, it's been an app that I've been using the past couple of months, and this one specifically I have been using to learn some Procreate tutorials from some folks on there, and then also some type and design tutorials from Aaron Draplin on there as well, which are really great. So essentially what Skillshare is a bunch of professionals that are really good at doing something in particular. They create a course on there, and then you can watch it. So you pay a monthly subscription to Skillshare, and in that month you can sign up and watch and view any classes that you want and learn as much stuff as you want. The great thing is that they've provided a link down below in the description where you can sign up and get a 2-month trial to try out as many courses as you want, learn a bunch of stuff, and enjoy it for those 2 months, which is really great. So highly recommend it if you want to learn some Procreate stuff, some editing stuff. A bunch of stuff is on there. Anything you can think of regarding social media and apps and stuff like that, someone's created a course for it. You can see it there on the screen, and again, it's down below in the description. So if you click that, it'll take you on there and you can sign up. So thanks to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. But now let's go ahead and move on to some more of the creative apps here. So I talked to you about Vectornator. That's really great for vector work. Recently I downloaded iOrnament, which name is horrible, app icon is horrible, but the app itself creates some amazing stuff. So essentially you have a bunch of pre-built grids and stuff, and it's hard to explain how this works without reading the app subscription. And essentially you can make some really cool, and sign in or zoom in here, and you can make some cool designs and make things look all crazy and then export them. I've made some really cool wallpapers on here, which are really cool, and I'll put up on here on the screen so that you guys can see how it looks. But this is one of those drawing apps that is just like relaxing to do and see if you get lucky and make something really neat looking. And you can zoom out and export that, and it's a really high res file that will work on like your Mac and stuff for wallpapers. And it's really cool. There's a lot of possibilities with that I'm not gonna get into, but really cool app if you're interested in any of that sort of stuff. Now there's 2 animation apps that I use. There's FlipaClip and Roughanimator, kind of really great apps to kind of conceptualize things, and then you can take that into Adobe Animate or also After Effects and finish on there. So you can see you can do some text animations and stuff like that. Very basic things that you can do on here, especially on FlipaClip. It's a very, very basic app to use. And you can see that there. Basically just frame by frame. There's a text tool and stuff. You can erase, go backwards. And here's the first one that I made. And I don't know. This is just me testing out stick figures. But no shame in learning some stuff, right? So that's really cool. We got some, what else we do? We got here. We got this test here. You can see that. So yeah, it's just a kind of like a fun little doodling sketching app for animation. That's what FlipaClip is, and that's why I like using it. The other one is Roughanimator. This one is more professional and definitely something, if you're taking it in any way serious, then this is probably the app you're gonna get. It's the best animation app on the App Store right now. And you can see that there. I'm clearly not skilled in animation. I would have to go into After Effects to do some cool stuff. But you know, I'm learning slowly to do hand-drawn animation, and it's really basic stuff that I've tested out here. So you can see here the disc. And it's silly, but you know, it works. And max you can do is 1920 by 1080 at 30 frames per second. And I'll usually work in 2s as well. So really great little app. Not the best interface. I definitely prefer the interface of FlipaClip, but it works really well. We have a few other photo apps here. We got Linear Sketch, which is for sketching. If you want something that's a little bit more bare bones than Procreate and just really, really basic, then Linear Sketch is probably going to be the way to go. BeCasso and Brushstroke, they're both apps that allow you to turn your photos into paintings, and they look really interesting. Never really fully use it. However, it's nice to open a file that I've created and put it on there to see how it looks. We also have Canva here and Spark Post, which I highly recommend for any social media stuff. These apps are used a lot by social media managers and people that handle businesses' social media profiles to create little pamphlets and flyers and stuff like that. Really awesome apps, and they're both free. We got Shaper 3D. That's a very interesting app. It's a 3D app for making 3D stuff that you could 3D print or take into another app and make an actual concept out of. So it's just a really interesting app, definitely a powerful app, something that is well beyond my knowledge of this work. So I'm still learning and using it. However, if you're into 3D work and stuff like that, I highly recommend to check that out. And yeah, we got Dribble, Behance. Those are social media networks to share some of your stuff or portfolio and stuff like that. And ShadowDraw is just some learning app, and Unsplash is just really cool for inspiration. Some really cool photos on here by awesome and talented people that is also worth downloading to have. Now moving on to almost the last, we got the edit folder, which has Lightroom, Adobe Rush, LumaFusion, Photoshop Express, Photoshop Fix, Photoshop Mix, Ferrite, and Over. These 3 Photoshop apps are basically sections of Photoshop that I've used to do some edits, and hopefully Photoshop comes out soon and would eliminate all these 3 things. We got Over, which is for adding text. However, ever since I got Procreate, that's pretty much been gone because recently Procreate got a text feature. And then for video editing, if you want to do some actual serious video editing, LumaFusion is the equivalent to Final Cut Pro 10 or Adobe Premiere on here. And then we got Adobe Rush, which is a really basic editing software which you just bring in and you can cut and make very simple edits, kind of like iMovie, but I prefer it to iMovie because I don't know, it just works better. iMovie really needs to be updated to get improved, but Adobe Rush works really well and it's free. LumaFusion is paid, so definitely only if you're really serious about that. Lightroom is just the best photo editing app out there, and it works really well for editing any photo, and it's just much better than VSCO or any other app like that, in my opinion. It's the go-to app for photo editing, and it's just really great and worth looking into if you haven't tried it out. Lastly, we got this folder here with miscellaneous apps that I recommend from here would be Parcel Track and Deliveries. They both do the same thing. I actually prefer Parcel Track now because it's available everywhere pretty much, and it just works really well. I've been using that mostly recently. You just put your tracking numbers in there and it gets tracked, and it'll tell you when things are delivered. That way you don't have to go back to the tracking number. It's just one place with all your tracking numbers if you order a lot of things online. And then Google Maps, Google Photos, goes without saying. I open those from time to time, and they work really well. So that's pretty much it. This was definitely a very long video with the things that I use on iPad here. But if you guys have any really awesome apps that you guys use on your iPad, make sure to leave them down below in the comments so I can check them out. I still got like 20 gigs left over of space, so definitely got space to try out some more apps. And this is the 64 gigabyte model, so just know that if you download any of these apps here, they're not going to really take up all that much space. But yeah, again, thanks to Skillshare for sponsoring this video, and thank you for sticking along, and really do appreciate it. Make sure to leave a like because that always does help the channel out. And if you have any questions and want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me on Twitter or on Instagram at RMRDNL, and I will reply there to you, and we can chat about something, or we can talk about an app that you have questions about or something like that. But yeah, again, thank you for watching this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Goodbye.